Has this ever happened to you? You have this like story stuck in your head, and days go by and you're like, oh, that would be cool if this would happen, and then this would happen, and it just gets stuck in there, and you thought, man, this would be a great screenplay or novel. I'm here to give you 5 reasons why you might really want to consider turning your story into a stage play. Hi, my name is Gil Sotu. I'm a part of the Writers Suite, a vibrant community of writers helping each other out. We have online classes, the whole shebang, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Number 1, plays are just easier to produce. Theaters, like novels, rely on the reader or the watcher's imagination to fill in the blanks. We don't have to have all the detail or the reality of a movie. I remember I was watching The Color Purple on Broadway. In The Color Purple on Broadway, the whole stage was just this wood stage. It had wicker chairs everywhere, and a clothesline and a wicker basket. And that's about it. Maybe a table and some chairs. And they did the whole play of The Color Purple. You don't need elaborate sets. You can have elaborate sets. I work for a few theaters right now where we build elaborate moving sets, but I've seen some great theater where it's just a table, a chair, and a couch. I've seen theater on subway cars. I've seen theater in cars. Actually, it's just 2 people having a dialogue, and then the audience would come in 2 by 2 and be like flies on the wall. Theater can exist everywhere. You could do a lot with a little. Number 2, you have more opportunities to improve your story. Because of the nature of theater, each live showing gives you the chance to improve your story, gives you the chance to hear how the audience is reacting, change a little dialogue, change how you say it. In movies, once it's done, it's done. If it falls flat, it falls flat. Plays are always living. You can make it better and better. There's a lot of ways that the story can come to life until it's that canon that really feels good. And then it can be turned into a movie. Number 3, you have more control and more prestige as a writer in theater. Think of your top 5 movies, okay? Now, X out the ones that are writer-director, because we all know the James Camerons and all that other stuff. We know directors, but the ones that are written by someone who didn't direct it, do you know who wrote the screenplay? Most likely you don't. A lot of times when Hollywood buys a script, they're buying the rights to it. They're buying the rights to change it. So often they'll bring in other writers to change things up, to make it funnier, to change this or change that. And sometimes by the time you see it, you don't even recognize your work. There was a Netflix writer who wrote an action thriller, and I was watching a YouTube interview with him, and he said, I got so many bad reviews. Some people thought AI wrote it. And when I watched the movie, only about 50% of what I wrote was in there. The basic concept was there, and I still got paid, but half of it was unrecognizable. With theater, they hold the writer to more esteem. So they'll ask you about changes in the script. They will consult you in changes in the story that they want to do. They don't really bring in other writers to spruce it up unless it's an extreme situation and they get your permission. So that's the beautiful thing about theater, that your work stays your work and your vision stays your vision. Now, the director may go in a way that may feel funny to you, but it's still your story, right? Number 4, you strengthen your dialogue through theater. So movies are a image-driven medium. Right. I was just in the movies right now. There was I watched this movie called Dust Bunny, and there was maybe 10, 15 minutes of no dialogue and just this little girl scared of this monster under her bed. And it was entertaining, but there was no dialogue. And you really couldn't get away with something like that in theater. Think of novels as all inner thoughts and details and everything. Think of movies as more image driven with some dialogue, and theater has mostly all dialogue with some imagery in it, right? But the images don't come at you as they do in movies. Once you get really good at dialogue and using the dialogue to tell the story and to keep the pacing and everything, if you want to switch your story to another discipline, then you have the dialogue really solid. The only other downside to that is you have to now cut down your dialogue to allow for some images or for some more details if you're going to turn it into a novel. But this would be a great start for just getting your story out there and knowing if the story itself works. You can write a scene as a 10-minute play. You can write kind of like the major scene as a 10-minute play, or you can write a full play and see where it goes from there. There's a lot of plays that get turned into movies. And finally, number five. There is nothing, I'm telling you, nothing like seeing your story come alive in a theater, in a packed audience, or even a small audience where the stakes are higher because everybody has to be on point. Everybody has to get this right. If you ever saw a comedy special, comedy specials are great, but it's always a lot funnier if you're there in person. I could see my favorite comedian and see his special, and I would laugh, definitely. You see it live in the energy of the room. It's just something magical. The same thing with theater. There's something magical, and there's an energy transference when you see something live. And that's what theater is all the time, on a small scale and on a major scale. And you could see what works and what doesn't. And it just feels good to see actors really interpret your piece. And if you go multiple times, you'll see them interpret it slightly different each and every way. So there's this energy that you just can't get through the screen. I know I'm infectious. I know you love my energy, but if I was here live, you guys would be laughing and crying and having a good old time. I promise you. Those are my 5 reasons. And if you were interested in learning about how to turn your story into a play, we offer classes at the Writer Suite, both go at your own pace and live classes where you're in with other folks. And at the end, I'm going to get my friends, professional theaters, have done everything from Shakespeare to modern comedies and drama, to read your stuff, to bring your stuff to life. So if you're interested in that, or some of the free writing workshops that we're offering, go to writersuite.net or click the link and it will bring you to all the information that you need, or you can DM me directly. All right, y'all. Happy writing.